NASCAR is back, sort of. Today, or yesterday probably, for most of you, was the LA Clash, and finally we got some cars back on the track. It was a sight to see. It's always a good feeling to see cars going around in circles again. It's no better feeling, right? But after we got through the heats the practice, the qualifying, and the heats, and we got to the Clash, it was time for the main event, and honestly, it wasn't the worst race I've ever seen or anything like that. But I think the 2023 LA Clash, maybe not to NASCAR. NASCAR might not see it that way, but from what their goals are, I think the 2023 LA Clash is a complete failure. And the reason for that being is because their goal is to appeal to the casual fan. Not to me, to the casual fan. Sure, it's nice that I was able to watch it and all, but they are trying to get casual fans in on the sport through this race. And it might work for some. It might. For people that go to the race and experience it, maybe for the first time, that might work. I think we should never come back to the LA Coliseum, or never is a strong word. Maybe not come back for a while. Give it a rest. I am a diehard fan. I got my own YouTube channel. Not that I'm active on the YouTube channel, but I do have a YouTube channel for NASCAR. I consider myself to be a diehard fan. And I struggled getting through that race. By 9:30, I was ready for the race to be over, and that thing ended at 10:30. I cannot imagine. I tweeted this. I cannot imagine a casual fan making it past 69 to go. Nice. There was a nice period for about 15 minutes that we were stuck on 69 to go because we kept on getting cautions. And I just can't imagine a casual fan making it through that. If they, by some miracle of God, made it through the halftime show and the first couple of cautions before that. The main problem and what caused it to be so hard, I should elaborate. The reason it was so hard to watch was because, not only because it's Wreckfest. You can have good Wreckfest. I mean, not necessarily when you have as many cautions as we had, but there's cases of good Wreckfest, here and there. But the problem with it was that when that wreck happened, or it wasn't even really a wreck, it'd just be a spin. Somebody bumped somebody and they would spin, and then caution has to come immediately out because you have 10 seconds, unless it's late in the run and you have 0 seconds. There's no way that car can get back, in the line. So you have to call a caution the second that somebody spins. There's maybe a couple I thought that guy was fine. You didn't really have to call that, but whatever, I get it. But instead of it just being a caution and running laps, there was a red flag. And I understand why, because if you were to have caution laps, it would, the race would be over without any real green flag. But I think there needs to be some sort of buffer if we have to go back to this or do another stadium race with a track this size. I think there needs to be a little buffer. Take off 3 to 5 laps during the caution. And instead of just running laps and not getting anywhere, there was very little progress in the beginning of the first half or the second half, because we're apparently a half sport now. There was very little movement in the race. It was very slow. Then finally we got a run going with about 60 laps to go and got down to about 40 to 30 laps to go. Then we had another caution, but it just felt like this race was dragging on forever, and that's not a good thing, especially when you're trying to appeal to the casual fan. So I suggest that if we have to do a race like this again, that we add, take off 2 or 3 laps, whatever, just to help this race move along a little bit quicker. I don't know if that would make a huge difference, but it would be better than just stopping it right there and having 3 cautions happen and not a single lap change. I think that would benefit the race for sure. That in itself is not the only reason why this race stunk. The wrecking, the racing was another main issue, because it really looked like, the easiest way I can compare this, it looked like back when I did NASCAR heat leagues throughout the NASCAR heat era, we would go to Martinsville and consistently we would have a lot of cautions. It would mostly be a wreckfest. It reminded me of Martinsville because we would go into turn 1 off the restart and somebody would throw it in there, and then all of a sudden you got the guy in front of that guy not really throwing it in there, but being pushing the guy in front of him, and then the guy in front of him, and then boom, the guy in the lead gets punted out. That happened, or the guy ahead gets punted out, and that happened quite often in this race. We had multiple, and that's really the only way to pass is to bump somebody, which is okay. It works at Martinsville, but at the end of the day, sorry, my air just kicked in. At the end of the day, it was a little overboard this time because it caused so many cautions. That was the main issue, though, was just the cautions and how long they took. Because it was not like, okay, let's get this thing green. No, they dragged it on for quite a while. It wasn't. They didn't even go to commercial break. Sometimes they would still be on, but it would just be dead time. So in recap, I think my thoughts on the Clash is that we need to move on. We need to find another place to go to, and that's that. Will it happen? Oh, I'm sure not, but a guy can dream. So let's go ahead and quickly kind of talk over the race. I don't want to go too into detail because there's only one thing in this race, and I'll get into it in a moment. There's one thing in this race that I think you can kind of say, hey, that could translate. We could see this happening in throughout the season. So I'll get into that in a moment, but let's talk about the race. We had a combination of leaders, whatever the terminology may be. Starting out with Aragon Marola, who had the pole. He led the first stint until a caution came out, and then Denny Hamlin took over, led some laps. Then Bubba Wallace bumped his team owner out of the way and took the lead until the halftime break. And then after the halftime break, he led a little bit. Caution came out, and Ryan Preece, who had worked his way up through the field ever so slightly, was able to take the lead. But once again, that was kind of in that time frame where you had so many cautions that we would restart. He'd get out to a lead, but Martin Truex Jr. started taking notes. And by the second to last caution, I think it was, he figured out how to get around Ryan Preece on the restart. And from then, it was pretty much over. There was another restart after that, but Truex got the win. And hey, hopefully that, if the trend continues, of all the LA Clash winners, every single LA Clash winner has gone on to win the championship. So MTJ, your redemption arc is here. It's time. Championship number 2 is here. So there's that. But I want to give a shout out to Kyle Busch and Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon was up front all day long. It's probably the greatest performance of his life. And then Kyle Busch, he was up front quite a bit. Got dumped by Logano. I think Richard Childress said something on the radio. He just dumped you for no reason. And I was thinking, that's just another day in the life of Kyle Busch. That's Joey's going to dump him like nothing. He's probably used to it by now. I don't know if he said anything back, but yeah. Despite that, he ended up in the top 5. So shout out to Kyle Busch for that as well. My pick, Justin Haley, I'll mention him. Kind of had a mad day. He got punted at some point. I just don't think he ever really recovered. And yeah, so here's the one thing that I think we saw in this race that I could see really translating. Everything else in this race, take with a grain of salt. There's no reason to put any merit into it. I was planning on overreacting to a lot of stuff, but there's no reason. That's just a waste of time. But there's one thing that could be an overreaction from this race, but I think is something that you really could take into consideration, and that is Ryan Preece being a legit contender this year. I'm not saying championship contender, but a legit playoff threat this year. The reason I say that is because he had a great race, and we know why is because of his experience on short tracks, just like the one he raced on. Or maybe not just like it, but similar to the one he raced on. So I think at the very least we can expect him to be in contention for wins at short tracks. Now I think he's going to be in contention for wins at every track. Maybe not the start, but I think by the end of the season, we could see him really hitting his stride. He's got plenty of Cup experience. We ran, 2 to 3 years with JTG? So it's not his first rodeo. He knows the ins and outs. It's just getting used to having fast equipment. The SHR is still fast equipment. I see a lot of people that think the 41 team is going to hold him back. I'm not really sure that's the case. I think the 41 team was being held back by, I won't name him, but we all know him, the previous driver of that car. I think he was definitely holding that team back. I think Ryan Preece will unlock some potential. Will he be the second or best driver at SHR? Probably not. But I think it's worth mentioning that he could really be that third driver that that SHR's been looking for, that steady driver that they've been looking for. That he'll be there for a while, assuming all goes well, and yeah. So hopefully I'm right. Hopefully it's not just an overreaction from this, but it probably is. You know, he'll go and suck all year now that I said that, but it was worth a shot. So hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, be sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and comment down below your guys' thoughts on the Busch Clash. Let me know if you think we should go back there. If you think we should not go back there, where do you think the Clash should be next year? And yeah, I kind of hope I'm going to be able to get this weekly kind of raw thoughts content out for you guys. I kind of a spur of the moment thing, but we'll see if it works. I could see myself, getting this done now that I got my computer here at college. So yeah, got a what if in the bag, so I'm not going to bore you anymore. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.